Yo, what's good? It's Bear in the building. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Kueen Talk. If you are new here, welcome. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of this episode. You guys, you see this new merch? You see that? Got the new hats in? Yes, you guys make sure to check that out at queentalk.com. Check out all the great episodes on queentalk.com as well. You guys, got a special guest today. We got someone out of the Midwest. We got Nevaeh, who is someone you do not want to argue with, who is I seen the forensic. How you doing, Nevaeh?
I'm good. How are you? It's nice being back home.
Okay, yeah, you are back home because you go to school in Missouri, correct?
Yes, I go to school in Missouri. Yes.
All right, and Wichita is your home base right now, or?
Yeah, I'm from Wichita, born and raised, and so I'm back here. It's really fun. I love Wichita, so.
Okay, I seen on the TikTok you said which you thought Wichita, Kansas was better than Missouri at the beginning. When you first got to school, how are you feeling about like that now, and now that you've been there for a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely, where I go to school, it's not like a big city at all. I think it's like, I don't even know if it passes 20,000 people, but it's really small. And so it's just a small liberal arts school. Wichita, at least for me, I think traveling other places and even just going outside of Wichita into other parts of Kansas, I saw that Wichita is like really uniquely diverse compared to the rest of like the demographics within Kansas, excluding Kansas City. But even then, like since it's split, it's a little weird. But for me, it was like I grew up in such a diverse environment. I feel like for where I am located in the Midwest, going to Truman, it's like any type of experience of being the only person in the room that was like amplified, and it was like all the time. But I still love it. Like I just went to St. Louis the other day. I loved it there. It was a little different being in somewhere so small and like living there full time. But I am liking it. I'm really liking my school. I'm really liking Missouri. I feel like there's good parts to everywhere, and I'm never a big hater of the Midwest. Like I like Wichita, and so it wasn't hard for me to like somewhere like Kirksville.
Yeah, no, you brought up a point though of like Wichita being like the most diverse place in Kansas, which Wichita is the biggest city in Kansas. So,
which is crazy to tell people.
Right, it is, because when they think of Kansas, they think first Kansas City, but that is, like you said, only a fraction of it. So like when you think of that, in that sense of like being in the Midwest, Wichita, we are in a diverse place. Like it's all about perspective, because I don't think like that's not what I think. I'm thinking we're very segregated here. We are diverse, but you really don't see that unless you intentionally go to different pockets of the town. So you definitely have to be intentional when you want to get diversity here in Wichita.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like as of Kansas, though, we are pretty diverse.
Yeah.
So. And then being in Missouri, you said now you feel like you are the only person in the room at times. How has that been? How has that shift been for you? And like, how have you navigated that?
It hasn't been like too hard. It's just more on a regular basis. Cause like even doing speech and debate or like other things like here in Wichita, I ran into those situations. I mean, the more you branch out, I think you're going to find yourself in situations like that. But I guess that being on a more regular basis, it is kind of crazy. It's like, yeah, there are no other Black people in my classroom. Sometimes there's no other people of color. And so it can be a little jarring, but it's not bad. We have our own communities, and I find that Kirksville and even Truman, like it is really diverse. And I think part of it's a really affordable school. It has really good resources, and they're really big on supporting these groups that are a bit more isolated and are like a minority on campus, and there's just a lot of support. So even though like, I don't know, there's always going to be feelings around being the only one in the room, but it hasn't been like that bad. Cause I have been in situations where it's been like, ooh, I really don't like it here. Like,
yeah. No, it is like navigating in a lot of spaces, not just like where you are right now, but at times being a person of color, you are the only one in a space. But it's good to have that space. Like if it is going to be that way, it's good to be in your case to where it's like, okay, this isn't a bad place to be if you are.
Right.
And I can actually say for the most part, that's how it was for me too, growing up, because I grew up in El Dorado. So it's just a few miles away, but
Right.
it's very much not diverse as Wichita
Yeah.
is. So it was like I felt safe in the groups that I put myself in,
Right.
being the only person of color. But there are some spaces where you go and it's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
I won't do that again.
Right. Right.
With speech and debate, did you, so that's been, I assume, did you go to East High?
I went to Wichita Northwest.
Okay, Northwest.
Yeah.
And have you always been involved in forensics and stuff like that, like in high school and stuff like that too?
Yeah, like freshman year, I kind of just signed up. I was like, oh, at that time, I was really big, like kind of getting started into politics. I was, the backhanded comment you give to like argumentative kids. It's like, oh, you should be a lawyer. Like I was always that kid. I always got that
Okay.
comment. And so it's like, yeah, sign up for debate. Maybe that'll make you more agreeable at home. And so I jumped into it. In Kansas, it's specifically a lot different. Kansas, I believe it's the only state where the entire first semester, it's policy debate. And then second semester, it's what we would consider forensics, speech, acting, and other debate events. And so Kansas, particularly like you go up to like the nicer areas of Kansas City, they're really good at debate. KU has a really good debate team. It's like up there, very high level, high skilled programs, a lot of money in those programs, but like they're crazy good. They will be like top 2 on the national stage. And so I loved policy debate. That's what really got me into it. The debate side was like, it's so much more information. It's so much more knowledge. It's like you have to learn not only the very technical side of debate, but just learn about like how laws are being made, like certain information you wouldn't know. Like I didn't know anything about fracking, but one of the topics my freshman year was federal protection for water resources, which fracking has a lot to do. And so all of this kind of knowledge I gained, it was so cool for me to learn. And it's kind of what pushed me to keep going. And so then I did it all 4 years. I went to nationals. That was really fun. I loved that. And then going to Truman, that was honestly like a last minute thing, but you always see them. They're one of the schools that come to like nationals and they'll judge and they'll table trying to recruit people. And they're a really good program for honestly around the country, but also for it being like a smaller school. But yeah, and now that I'm there, like my love for debate has been like so invigorated because coming from like a public school, like it's okay. Like we did okay and we did what we could, but there's like a certain level you can get to before you plateau and you have to start like investing outside resources into it. But being on a team where like all this support and like funds are automatically allocated for you, where like they already expect you to reach this level, and so there's going to be that support and that backing for you to get there. It's like been so cool and it's been so amazing, and again, it's just like made me love debate even more than I did in high school, because I was really sad about leaving it because I was like, oh, I felt like I could have been a lot better, but now like I can actually like get to that level I've always wanted to get to.
Did you connect with Truman because you seen them at one of your debates, or how did you pursue that?
I applied to Truman like early March, right after most major decisions came out. I had applied to some dream schools. I got waitlisted, and college is expensive. I wasn't getting
Right.
great stuff from FAFSA, and so I was just like, dang, I didn't really want to stay home. I really wanted to go out of state. For a while, I was gonna like wrestle in Iowa, but the school, like academically, it really didn't fit. So I was just kind of throwing whatever at the wall that sticks. My friend she's what's called a Pershing Scholar. It's their full ride program. And she was thinking about going there, or she does go there now. And so she was telling me about it. She's like, hey, even though like priority scholarship deadline has passed, they still give really good aid. The team is really good. If you're interested in doing it, go visit, go see how you like it. So I was like, okay. So I applied, did get actually pretty good scholarships for applying so late. I got a scholarship for the team after I auditioned. And when I went there, like I loved it. I love a small campus. I love tight-knit communities. I just saw like how they're still able to like, again, support communities that I feel like should be supported, especially on campuses. And even now seeing that play out while being on campus, like I've kind of told everyone, like, I'm so happy I went to Truman. Like, I truly felt like I did make the right choice.
Yeah, that's good that you stayed consistent with trying to find something. I think that's a pretty good point in what you just said. It's just like you applied to multiple different places. You had the resources to find FAFSA, but just until it fits the right fit. And I think, like you said, you
Right.
found the perfect one for you. So that's good. And it fits all the criteria. It's not too far though, Missouri, it's right
Yeah.
there. It's a drive away from home, but it's far enough. I think that's
Yeah.
important that people like at least go experience a little bit away from college, because that's a perfect time because you get a little bit of paid for.
Right.
That's good
Right.
that you got the scholarships too. That I'm sure that helped out a lot.
Yes, that was like a big motivator, but it was kind of nice. Like, still, I got this experience for about the same price I would be paying if I had stayed home. And that was like so worth it to me because I was like, okay, well, I would be paying for college anyway. But if I can go and get everything I wanted out of this college experience, I want to experience that. I want to go out of state. I want to meet new people, all that stuff. And so I'm happy about it.
Did you know that it was obtainable for you to be able to even do debate after high school, or did you just think this was this?
I knew of it. When it comes to like debate programs, there's a lot of like different ones and different types, especially in college level. And I wasn't like a national champion. So if you go to like Western Kentucky University, that's a big debate school. A lot of their forensics people get like full rides, but like that's what you prioritize while you're there. And so I never really considered something like that. To me, I like debate a lot more than I liked wrestling, but it was kind of going to be this additional add-on. If I can find a school that's cheap enough that I love and they have a debate program, I'll be happy. But I never had really thought about it in terms of scholarships. And so even when I applied to Truman so late, I was still kind of surprised that I was able to get a scholarship because I was like, oh, okay, like this works out. Not only am I like getting paid to do this, but I love to do this and I'm loving the team. And so it wasn't really a reality until like I actually was starting to pick my college. It was just like that'd be cool if it was there for me.
Yeah, and now it's it. Now it's there.
Yeah.
It is obtainable. It is possible.
Right.
Even if you're a procrastinator, or even if it is like last minute. So that's good
Right,
to
right.
know. If you are looking into colleges and stuff like that,
Right.
that itself can just be like so overwhelming. Like with all of the options, trying to narrow it down, applying, filling out the applications.
Yeah.
It is a lot. So I encourage people to like do it through your high school too. Like there's a lot of high school counselors and support staff that'll help get you through all of that.
Yeah.
Definitely utilize that. And you said you went to Northwest, right? Northwest?
Yeah, I went to Northwest.
Okay, how was that for you?
It was chill. I live like very much northeast Wichita, like black part of Wichita, and so like having to drive all the way out west, like that kind of sucked. But I had never honestly really been to the west side. Only time we would go to the west side is like before they opened the second Texas Roadhouse, and so west side was like not anywhere I've ever been. I will say it was a bit of, I don't know, just a population shift because I went to Buckner, which is right next to Brooks. And so I know a lot of people like Brooks and Heights and stuff. And then I went to Robinson, which is like central East Wichita. And that was like, okay, still multicultural in a sense, but obviously it's going to be less black. It's going to be like a little less. And then, I go all the way west. And that was, Northwest isn't bad on diversity. It's just not the most diverse school, but Wichita in itself is a bit segregated. And so it's kind of like, you'll get a little bit of everything, but it's not like, obviously white people are going to be the most dominant group, but it's still not like ultra one group.
Why did you choose Northwest to go to? I mean, I have my assumptions, but why did you choose Northwest?
They had a program called like Early College Academy. And at the time, because it's changed a bit since I've graduated, but at the time they basically paid for your dual enrollment classes. And so I took a bunch of classes at Friends like every single summer and then throughout my semesters. And so like by my senior year, I was at school for like 2 hours and like the rest of my day was like spent at Friends. And so it's actually helped me a lot in the long run. I came in with a lot of credits. I'm supposed to graduate a lot early, which works out great for my scholarship and stuff. But yeah, it was just basically getting all these college credits. So I have them and I go into college with them. And they do bus, since it is open citywide, they will bus you out there. So when I didn't have a car, I did have a bus that took me to my extra classes at Friends and then brought me home. But yeah, it was just kind of like, okay, I really didn't want to do IB. A lot of my friends were going to East. And then since I had gone to Robinson, it was like, okay, I could go to East or I could go to my base school because I would have to get a transfer to East. And I didn't really want to go to Heights just because I didn't know anyone. And so I was like, okay, let me try out this school. And then I ended up like liking it just for like the extracurriculars I was involved with. And again, doing a bunch of like college classes, like it saved me a lot of money right now. So I'm kind of happy I did it.
I like that about Wichita schools. Like I don't know if that was like a resource that I just didn't know about when I was in school, but like I noticed like in Wichita schools there are programs that do that, like have the college courses. Even like South specifically does mechanic. So like if you want to be like a mechanic, you go to South. Like if you want to be like a RN or with WSU Tech, West High does that. I think that's so nice for each school to like have specific things like that to like have. I think pathways is what it's they're called in different schools to help. I think that's really nice to do that.
Yeah, it is really cool.
When you feel like in the Midwest growing up here in Wichita, how do you feel like that differs from Missouri? Besides being like the only one in the room sometimes.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like a lot of people I know from Missouri, they're either from Kansas City or they're from St. Louis. I mean, I know a few people from like smaller towns, but at least the ones that grew up in a bigger city, it's kind of, I don't know, like in some aspects, I guess it also depends on their neighborhood. Like there's a lot more diversity. And I think it can just be different growing up in a big city. But I feel like with my opinion on Wichita, I don't think there's a whole lot I really didn't miss out on because I do think Wichita is big enough, honestly. And so I feel like I never really got the small town experience except on some aspects. But I honestly don't know a whole lot of people about like how growing up in Missouri was different.
This is your first semester though at school, right? Like, so this is your first semester. That needs to be said. Like, this is your first semester away. So this is like just the ending. So you just got like a little taste of something. I think have you traveled often? Wait. I want to like pull back because we're still talking about school right now. And I see your necklace. I have to mention the Delta.
Yeah. Yes, I just crossed.
You just crossed. Congratulations.
Yes, fall 25, yes.
That's awesome. So Truman has the D9 in there.
Yeah, we have a few D9 chapters and like I don't know, it's kind of nice. I would say that's another thing. I can say that now that it did attract me to Truman. I was interested in it. So knowing that they had an active chapter, I was like, okay, I'm getting everything I want here.
Hey, I know that's right. My partner is a Delta.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's cool. Like, I'm not one, but being a partner of one, I feel like I'm close to it all the times. How has that been for you?
I've enjoyed it. I just crossed maybe right before break, and so I haven't been officially one for long, but so far, like, it's been amazing. I was already initially attracted to the organization. It was something I wanted to be a part of, but just going through the process, becoming an actual Delta, like, it's taught me a lot. I love my line sisters. I love my chapter. I see how important it is right now to have things like that. And I'm really excited to like actually start, working on, we have like a few projects and stuff we want to work on. And like, I'm really happy to start getting more involved with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now you are like finding that community within your school. Like, you might be the only one in your classrooms, but you got people there in the community being built. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you.
You said you've always thought about crossing and being a part of a fraternity.
Yeah, like when I kind of like started thinking about college a lot more, I don't really know a whole lot of people who are D9 like here or anything. And so I didn't really know a whole lot of people personally, but I did really like the history behind it and like what they've been involved with and just like learning about it from like the outsider perspective. And I said if I did join Greek life, like I didn't really have any interest in rushing or doing that experience. But I said if I did do Greek life, I know I would want to do D9, and I know specifically I would want to do Delta. And so that was like the only one I was like really ever considering. And so yeah, finding out Truman had a chapter, that was like, okay, well, perfect.
Yeah, checked off all the boxes.
Right,
All
right.
the boxes. That's nice. Yeah, congratulations again.
Thank you.
And we didn't I'm like I always like rush through the video sometimes and don't give like
Yeah.
the proper introduction of just like your identity and how you
Yeah,
identify in the community. So if like you're a lesbian, is that how you identify in the community?
Yeah, I identify as a lesbian.
Have you expressed this like for a while now? Like, is this something new or?
So it's more of like, honestly, I've only identified as a lesbian for about a year now. For the longest time, I just kind of considered myself bisexual. And then I went through like this whole steps of realization, and I had to unpack a lot because I don't know, it was like a bunch of realizations dawning on me that like it was an actual option. I just like never really considered it. And so once I was like, no, like I am a lesbian. I really only like women. That's how I identify. It was kind of like, I don't know. I just feel a lot freer identifying with it. And it's really like, I feel like it's really shaped a lot of my like politics too, like just being one.
How has that like been being a queer person of color and debating these topics with mostly, I assume, aren't people of color or queer? Like, because you said it shapes like how you, I'm sure how you debate as well, like, and how
Right.
you look at that.
Well, within the debate space, I will say a lot of things, at least in the country, are going to be like dominated by certain groups. But I will say I have met a lot of queer people, mostly on the speech and acting side, but a bit on the debate side too. And then I've met some people of color. I haven't gone against many, but I've also only been to a few tournaments. But even in like my high school time, like I would encounter some. But what I love about debate, like there is already a built-in space for that. One of my favorite types of arguments, it's called a critique. I'm still learning a lot of stuff about debate, but at least from what I've been told and what I've learned and kind of like the information I gathered, you're critiquing like either the rhetoric or like more systemic issues within like the world. And so if we're talking about militarism or whatever, then instead of saying like, hey, instead of debating you on militarism, I'm going to debate you on like why this is intrinsically bad and what this is leading to. What I'm researching right now is Afro-pessimism. That's a huge argument in the debate scene. And what is
that?
It is very hard to explain and very complicated. I'm reading a book on it right now just so I can understand it. But from the arguments I've kind of understood, it's like Black is less of an identity and more of a built-in social class. And it's like generally considered the lowest. And so the author, Frank B. Wilderson, I believe, he talks about how like even through all these different like groups or times in history or like other like different oppressed classes, there's always anti-Blackness within it. Like that's like almost our baseline for how we, I guess, or like our social class. Like at the bottom, we have this class of what we considered as workers as like the lowest. And so it's like that really needs to be like our priority. You can't fix anything without tackling anti-Blackness. And it's so interesting in the way they explain it, but there's so many arguments to that. Like there's a lot of arguments about queer identity and like queer phobia. There's a lot of arguments on like misogyny and like how that affects people. One of the arguments our team has kind of written up based on like some evidence is that since the overall debate topic this year is on the Arctic and Antarctic, there's a lot of damning stats about how Antarctica researchers, the women there, face high levels of sexual violence. And it's like 40%. And like it's so underreported. So it's like it's called like a disadvantage. It's like you can't really claim to say what you're doing is good when we can show you that right here. If you like say, hey, let's go do more research in the Antarctic, you're going to contribute to an increasing number of sexual violence. And so what I love in debate is that like you can make arguments like that. There is a space and they're considered valid. They're considered like just as important. I can say, hey, sexual violence is just as important as nuclear deterrence. I can say, hey, continuing like indigenous genocide within the United States, even if the number is not as much, it's just as important as nuclear war and nuclear deterrence. Like these arguments are generally considered like on an equal level, even if like in the outside world, we don't really see that. Like they're taken as like a value, which I love.
Yeah, so I've never been to an actual debate. I'm
Right.
seeing the politics on TV when you see the
Right.
debate, but I feel like that's a complete different setup than what an actual debate
Well, yeah.
is that you actually do, you and your team. So you said the topics right now. So by a yearly, you just go on this one topic and you know you're going to go about Antarctica, and you said something else.
Yeah, so we do what's called Lincoln Douglas. It's like a one-on-one version of policy debate. And the topic right now is like the United States federal government should substantially increase military presence or scientific exploration in the Arctic or Antarctic. And so you can choose basically kind of like 4 different pathways: Arctic, Antarctic, military expansion, or scientific exploration. And so that's like the yearly topic from start of the school year to nationals. There's different types of debate. There's public forum, which is like a monthly, I think, or a bi-monthly topic change. And that's more casual. There's IPDA, which is like a limited prep debate where you get a topic, you choose a side, and you like quickly come up with arguments, you research a bit, and you debate then. And that's only like 30 minutes of prep time. And so there's a lot of different styles of debate. I prefer policy debate. It's more structured. I feel like it's more grounded in truth. You have to present evidence, read evidence, analyze evidence. Other forms of debate, it's a lot of paraphrasing. And so that's okay. But I just prefer the more evidence-based. I like how longer the speeches are. I just prefer that type of debate. But that's the type of debate I do.
Did anyone like inspire you to? You said like people said, "Oh, you should be in debate." Was there anyone that like inspired you to like be in this?
I don't really know. Like it wasn't. It was kind of like I really got into politics, and I felt like that was something that could introduce. When you think of debate, you probably end up thinking about politics. I was like, oh, that's going to be so cool. And I think experiencing it, debate it's very structured, and it's less about like, I think unfortunately a lot of like what people consider debates, like what we see on TV or like Instagram reels, it's like, sure, you can say that's a debate, but it's like, I like how our debate, it's very formal, it's very structured, it's very like content based. You don't really get anything out of like, I guess, tricking people and like kind of essentially calling them stupid or like ad hominem attacks. Like the best way you can prove your point and I guess appear the smartest in the room is literally like presenting good evidence, explaining your evidence, and applying it to the argument. So just on like a baseline, it just felt a lot like better. But back to the actual question, I don't know if I had like a specific inspiration. I really wanted to gain more knowledge, and I wanted to like, and seeing how like I analyze arguments and I take on like personal level arguments with debate, it does like change the way you think about things. And so I didn't have a specific like inspiration, but I really wanted to learn about this. I really wanted to be good at this.
Yeah, there's no way that I would even try to argue with you. I hate arguing in the first place. Like It's like I don't want to argue with you. Like I don't want to debate this with you. Do you find yourself like in the relationships that you're around, whether it be a personal partnership or whatever it may be, just your friendships, constantly debating?
Sometimes I've tried to be like less argumentative in my life because I think that was just like a habit, a way I acted, like even before I got into debate. And then it's just because in debate, it's like, yeah, it's structured and yeah, like it's educational, but like literally as someone is speaking, you are like prepping out what you're going to say. You're prepping out questions to ask them. And so you're not listening to them. And so taking that to personal relationships, it hasn't been very good. So I've been trying to work on like, listening to people more, thinking like my things through. I don't have a limited time. I don't have to necessarily like win an argument, win a discussion. It's okay for me to just take a step back. But I've always been kind of an argumentative person. Or like when, I don't know. Yeah, I've always wanted to just be like, are you sure? Or like, I don't know, kind of
That's
going
fair.
the back and forth. But
you found a career out of it. So
right.
That's good. And sorry, Squirrel, you mentioned earlier in the podcast how like I don't want to just dismiss what you said of just when you just realized your identity, like how you could be this complex than what you may thought it was, of just like your options of the community and whatnot. Did you have like representation growing up for you when it comes to the community?
I wouldn't say so. Like I have a gay uncle. He lives in San Francisco. I love him. He's actually coming to visit this week, so I'm really excited to see him. I love going to visit him in San Francisco. But even then, like I think it can be a little different, especially since, well, one, he's like a grown adult and he moved away. But in regards to like other queer people I knew growing up, I really can't remember a whole lot or really any. Like I maybe remember like a few classmates like in elementary school that like now I know are queer and stuff. And it's like, I feel like I kind of recognize that. But I never really had the example or the language or like the understanding about it. Like even early on, I remember like thinking like, hey, gay seems like a bad word. Like, why are we calling people that? Like, it seems like an insult. I didn't understand it, but I just knew like, it seems like something that's an insult, but it shouldn't be. But like, I really didn't have the vocabulary, the understanding, the reason why like we were calling people these things.
Yeah, I think it is true. Like seeing the representation of just not even could be play a part as to like, okay, you are in search of it, just not recently. What made you feel like okay, or when did you start seeing representation of the community to be like, okay, this is how I identify?
When it comes to like how early on I thought I was bisexual, or like I identified as bisexual again for the longest time. For me, I don't know if it was like certain community aspects. I feel like my first introduction to queer people and gay people was like probably in church. And that's not going to be the best light. Like I have a vivid memory where they were talking about how kids are joining gay and lesbian clubs. I didn't even know what those were. So I was like, okay, like I'm not registering that. But I think, I don't know if subconsciously I just started remembering it, but I was like, yeah, that's interesting. That was my first introduction. And then I would say like fourth grade, I kind of started to like continue to unpacking that. And then obviously, I think like once I got to middle school or maybe in like media and stuff, I kind of started, you kind of start to just become more aware. And then I kind of just like, okay, like I know I like girls too, probably. And I kind of just based it from there. But again, I really feel like, or at least it's hard for me to pinpoint a certain representation. Cause even like all of elementary school, I watched Ellen after school every single day. I literally had no idea Ellen had a wife until like I saw her stand-up special in like 7th grade. Like I couldn't have told you that Ellen was a gay woman. I didn't know I didn't know like her little button up and cardigan. I didn't know that meant she was gay. Like I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't like express that like all the time either. I'm thinking about it now too. I'm like, she didn't have rainbows in one episode, which is completely fine. I think but she did express it. Like it was a big thing when she did. But that's interesting. Like you're watching Ellen and without even knowing that.
And I'm like, okay, period. Justin Bieber's back on. Like, great.
That's awesome. That's good. Did you feel comfortable in your home to do so? Like express yourself, or how was that for you?
I would say it was a little rough, especially starting to, I guess, wanting to express myself a little more masculinely. Like I remember I was like 9 years old and I really wanted to wear like a bow tie. And I remember like it was hard because it's like my stepmom had like bought me a pack. and I had like my single button-up shirt. But I remember I was like, I never really wore them. Like I can't remember a time I ever really wore them. And then I remember one time I was gonna wear one to school, and like I decided like last minute, like I'm not gonna do it. So I don't know. It's weird because it's like, it's again, like it feels just very societal and like subconscious that like, I know it's not the social norm for me to act this way. And I just can't understand why, because I knew I wanted, like, I remember showing my dad a picture of Janelle Monáe and I was like, she's not gay. She's not gay. Like, come on. I can dress this way. And it's kind of funny because it's like, well, you shouldn't have to justify. Yeah, joke's on me. Joke's on me. But it's like, I really shouldn't have had to justify that. But it's also like, I don't know, it does kind of suck because I was like trying to find something to grab on when it's like, I don't know. I just like, that's just how I wanted to dress.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're able to do that now? Like, and your family's okay with like how you express yourself now? Have they or you still like hide?
I mean, now it's kind of like this thing where like, well, obviously I'm in college and I like I self-identify as a stud, and I've gone into a lot of like conversations with like different people about that. But it's like, I feel most comfortable this way. Like, I really, at this point in my life, I really don't, I don't know. I want to be comfortable in my clothes. I want to be comfortable in who I am. And so it's just like, I just kind of like, yeah, I just kind of present how I want to be. And then obviously, like, as I started getting older, I like kept this sense of style, but it was more like slowly getting there. And I think it also kind of helped that as trends in fashion changed, I think like, I don't know. I think in some ways it just became also a little more accessible because it was like, yeah, now, I don't know. Now it's not weird for me to get a button-up shirt because like Forever 21 is selling a bunch. So it's like, okay, like, see, all the girls are wearing this. So it's not super like different.
I always hate like the boys and girls clothes when it comes to clothes, especially because it's like, come on. I wear this stuff because it's comfortable. It's how I express the creativity or whatever it may be, and how I dress. It's so frustrating, I think, especially like when the babies are coming, and then like if you put the baby in a pink outfit, it's like, oh, it must be a girl, but no, it could be a boy. So people are just like programmed into thinking like, and when it comes to your family, like you said, you're in college now, you express yourself freely. When it came to Delta specifically, how did you feel about your identity and joining that chapter?
Yeah, I kind of asked them straight up. I was like, hey, obviously, what's kind of the acceptance around that stuff? And like one of my advisors, like, she's queer. She's more feminine, but she's queer. And they were like, yeah, like, we accept everyone and we're never gonna like turn you down for something. Like, certain times I have to wear a dress. I'm fine with that. I'm not gonna trip about that. Sure, okay. But it's never like, we're only taking girly girls. We're only I mean, that's what like they kind of told me. So I was like, okay, I still feel, because I don't know, throughout the entire process, like, I'm still myself. I still present in ways I want to present, and I have not ran into an issue with that.
Good. I love to hear that. Yeah, I knew like the dresses, because I know like there's full on studs that I see like on TikTok that are deltas and stuff. So it's like that have been in it for a while that didn't just cross. So I'm like, it is possible, because I was always like worried about that too, just of like, okay, but like you said, you still do have to get in the dresses. You do have to do it to a point, but that's good that they're accepting of you, and that is very important. When it comes to your identity, you said, I seen like in the TikToks of your stuff, it was like you're a femme, and they said they wanted to date studs. Now you're a stud, and now they said they want to date femmes. So this is it safe to say like you're still trying to like find your identity and like where you are, like, and where you are at right now in your journey?
I would say, I think like, at least for me, and maybe like for a while, and honestly I would say like even for a lot of people, I think I'm in a constant state of like evolving and understanding myself and seeing how I identify. Though I have like kind of set on the stud label, like, again, I've had like conversations with a few other people about this, and I was just like, no, like, that's how I want to identify. That was more about, because there was this time where like I did consider myself like very femme, but also I wasn't even a lesbian back then. So I wouldn't have even called myself a stud, or even now
Okay.
I wouldn't have considered myself back then a stud, because I was a bisexual woman and I was pretty femme. But I remember I had like worn, I think, a suit for debate or something, and someone like had called me a stud, and I was like, I'm not a stud. Like, it was weird because it's like that label was like pulling to me, and I was like, I'm not a stud. And like I had even like got asked that a few times. I was like, no, like I'm not a stud. I don't identify, like I see myself as very feminine. And then kind of again like unpacking like how I saw like my presentation and just like how I felt comfortable, how I wanted to identify. There is, I feel like I don't know. I feel very like one in two in my femininity, but I still very much feel like I do identify as a stud, even if I'm not adopting what I get very frustrated by this, but I feel like the standard for a stud is to adopt like very traditional Black masculinity. And it's like, even though I don't present as that, I still very much identify that label for like historical context, political, and the fact that I consider myself a Black masculine lesbian, which to me, like, that's what.
Yeah. I'm not going to debate you, Nevaeh. I agree
Oh,
with you.
no, yeah. Well, I just always like, no, yeah. Well, I feel like for a lot of people, like, labels or so, like, everyone has like such different definitions. And like, even though I might feel like I'm right, I'm like, okay, that is how I just feel about that. I understand not everyone thinks like that. And it's like, sure, that's okay.
Yeah, no. Because I didn't even know like what the like a stud meant, like Black mask female. Like I did not know like it was that specific to what it was until like the
Right.
last couple years. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
So what are the white mask female actually? Like what's the proper term for that? I'm gonna look it up right now because I really don't know.
At least for me, so I feel like a lot of white masks I've met, like, they either identify as like a masculine lesbian.
Uh-huh.
Some identify as butch, but it's also like, I'm not a butch, so I like don't really know specifics, but a lot of people feel like butch is entwined with gender. I've also heard of like, these feel like very like BuzzFeed Tumblr terms, but like
Yeah.
I've heard like chapstick lesbian or like butch, but I don't hear
Yeah.
those a whole lot. But yeah, I feel like mask is probably the one I hear the most,
Yeah, it says
at
it
least from people my age.
doesn't say. It just says mask lesbian.
Yeah. And like
Hmm.
it's usually they like shorten it to mask, and it's like, yeah, like I'm a mask, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, learn something new. But yeah, I was like, I never even thought to like, okay, what does the opposite mean? But no, yeah, by definition, you are a stud. I also like never really. I don't really call myself that off. Like that's
Right,
not.
right,
I'm just like I'm a lesbian. It's not like
right.
oh I'm a stud. I don't go around like
Yeah, yeah.
saying that often. But unless I'm like trying to make a joke like about
Right.
a stud. But yeah, I think when it comes to like the community finding identity, like you said, it's forever changing. I think for me personally, I'm in my 30s and it's still like trying to like not fit the box of what this stud is to what society is thinks it is. So it is important to just like navigate it and just be true to who you are and don't be afraid to grow and change just because you like have said one way and
Right.
it's okay to make that change if later on it's like okay this is how I feel now like oh I thought that but now it's like different. I think that's okay
Right.
because we are forever changing and we learn different things about ourselves and that's okay to do.
Right. Yeah.
Is there something in your story that we that you like man I wanted to share that but maybe we just didn't touch on that today?
I'm trying to like think. I don't know. I feel like we covered a good bit, or like the biggest parts of me, like even towards the end, like the whole stud thing, because that was even. I feel like that's more the. I guess not even. Well, no, it is a pretty recent part of my story, like how I identify how that term connects to me. And with like speech and debate, I've been like researching a lot on like the history and stuff like that, and so it's really interesting, and I think that's why I tend to get like so passionate about it, and so like every time I hear something, I'm like, I don't know if that's right, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything like specifically I can think of. I feel like,
It's all good then. That means I do my job all right, you know,
yeah,
checking all the points. Yeah, I think that is a good point of just like, because as you mentioned, I'm sure you're getting pushback on people saying what they think a stud is.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
being true to who you yourself, and like you are a stud, like
yeah,
that is by
yeah.
definition.
Like, even most recently, I was on a date with a white woman, and she's like, yeah, like, I don't know, like, I don't think, like, you're a stud. Like, you're kind of like a soft mask. And I was like, that's weird. Like, one, that's weird that you're not the arbiter of what a stud is. And then two, it's like, what you think of as a stud, like, if me, what I consider like a black masculine lesbian is not a stud, are you considering the white masculine lesbians who, I feel like, my opinion, they bastardize black masculinity and call themselves studs? You're considering them a stud, but me, a person who is black, I'm not. Like, I feel so, I tend to get a little upset about that, because it's like, also, it's like, it's almost like, I feel like the interpretation, there's a lot connected to like the caricatures of like black men, or like how we see them, and there's a lot of negative connotations with them. I feel like there's a lot of, well, like, yeah, again, there's always going to be a lot of like misogyny, especially misogyny towards black women when talking about studs and how they're defined. But I feel like it's also like, in another like sense, I feel like sometimes it's connected to a sort of minstrelsy. I don't have to put on this super hyper masculine almost show for you to consider me as a masculine person, because at the end of the day, like, let's take someone like Ellen. I would consider like Ellen, she's not super feminine, but I would consider like someone like she's a pretty, like, she's a masculine lesbian. Like, she has her hair a little short, she has her like little wife, she wears her suits and whatever, but we're not calling her this and that. And that's because, like, sure, she doesn't identify as a stud, but she doesn't, we would never feel the need to assign her any of those labels. But I feel like when I come up and I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm a stud, I feel like I feel like I'm more masculine, and I think that's okay, and I don't feel the need to, like, I don't know, I don't need it like locks in a lineup all the time for me to, like, for that to be perceived. I don't need to fit a certain caricature for that. And I feel like a lot of people, you do, and I think a lot of white masks play into that caricature, so almost they can reclaim the term, which again I feel is a little weird to me.
I agree. You can tell, like, when you can just tell, especially growing up here in the Midwest, and you're like, dude, you try, like, don't try that hard, like it,
right?
Especially, you know, like what their upbringing is, like, bro, you are the most country bunking person, like, dude, stop. I agree with you, and like I said, I think that's a good point too. But also, if you are, I'm gonna give you a little tip, if you're dating white women like that, you're gonna have a lot of different conversations, whether it be that one or other conversations.
Right. That was kind of did. I don't think I will be pursuing that, but I was just kind of like, okay, I don't.
Yeah, but having conversations like with a partner, you have these conversations, black white conversations within in your home. So it's something to think about, though. Like, when you get into a relationship, of having these tough conversations with someone that's white would look a lot different if you were with someone of color.
Right.
And it is completely different.
It is,
and it also just depends on the person too, because there are white people that do understand, they really do get it. But then there's some that they do not.
Yeah, there's some who don't. They
do not. So just being mindful of that. Who you out here dating? Obviously, you're out here.
I would say it's definitely, it is kind of hard. Like, in Kirksville, it's kind of like, dating there is a little difficult. And then, you know, you kind of, if you're willing to make the drive, you know, maybe you can go to Kansas City or St. Louis, but then it's just like, I think, I don't know, a lot of people seem to, and in a way it is a little bit difficult to date, like, as someone who is queer or lesbian or who likes women. But I think part of it, it's like, there's so much, I don't know, there's so many like different things you have to, I feel like, for me to go over, that it really does like limit your options. It's like, you're in college, you encounter a lot of closeted people. Right now, where I am in my life, I'm not interested in dating someone who's closeted. You encounter people who are still pursuing you and they're not voting in your best interest. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what you're doing in my DMs then.
Yeah.
And so it is, there's just so much it's almost like a vetting process. And it's like, my options are within a 15-mile range. There's 3 people and it's
It is. I will say there's an organization in Kansas City, because you are near there. It's called Where to Find Us. They have just did it for 1 year. They just had their 1 year anniversary, and it's where they go and have you seen those like single pitches? So they go pitch a friend. So they do that to where it's like you can come pitch your friend, a whole PowerPoint presentation, and whatnot. 2 Black women that run it. And naturally the crowd is just, it's very diverse within the crowd. So you'll definitely have to check them out.
Oh my gosh, yes I will. That sounds fun. I will.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a good place to start for you to get out there and just mingle, because you are so close to Kansas City to get get that scene too. So
thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a lot of great information here today. If you want to learn how to get involved in the debate scene, it's a way to learn. If you are trying to figure out your identity on like the stud femme label, we had a great conversation on that. And just navigating a world now that at one point you felt was so diverse, and now you're in a space where you now are at oftentimes the only one in the room.
Right.
You have a good dynamic and a great story. So I just thank you so much for being a guest here on Kueen Talk.
Yes, thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Yes, if you want to be a guest on Kueen Talk, let me know. Let me know what you think of this Nevaeh story. What was your thoughts on this episode? Have you ever thought about being a debate? Are you a good debater? I'm not. I suck at arguing. So just know, if you ever want to argue with me, you won. You already won. I'm not doing it. But yeah, are you a good debater? What's your take on that? And what's your take on the stud versus femme? I'm curious what you thought before listening to this and what you thought after. Let us know. Thank you, Nevaeh. Make sure you guys check out queentalk.com. Check out the merch. I want to thank Wichita Pride. As you see, I'm representing the merch, the old Wichita Pride button. If you guys want to know more about Wichita Pride events, make sure to check out at Wichita Pride on all social media platforms to see what events that they have next. But yeah, thank you so much. You guys see the new hats as well. So check out queentalk.com.
Of course.
And remember, as always, family, friends, strangers, love and be nice.